Is Living End back from the grave? Welcome and fam, much love, Trav here. So I had somebody message me in the MTG Mastermind. Yo, you gotta check out Magic Aid's video, Living End Fake Out. I didn't know what to think. I kind of looked at it and it's like, okay. And kept on doing what I was doing. And then somebody else messaged me, slid into my DMs on Instagram and said, have you seen the Living End Fake Out video by Magic Aids? And I'm like, okay, what's the deal with it? Is it because it's good or because it's entertaining? And they said both. So I went and I looked at the video and I think it's a pretty sweet list. So I wanted to actually talk about it, about how you could play Living End in this metagame. But basically, the strategy is Living End, and then post-sideboard games, you side out Living End for crashing football falls, and you go for a turbo 4/4 deck, or thick boys, as the Magic Aids was saying in the video. Okay, so first of all, why is Living End not very good in the metagame? Well, it's true that Living End is not great against Graveyard Hate, and Graveyard Hate is a huge tick up right now, but that's not the reason why Living End is not good, or not the primary reason. The primary reason why Living End is not very good right now is because Living End is weak versus Faithful Saluting decks that are filling up their own graveyard to break the symmetry. Living End is good against decks that are flooding the battlefield. So when you have decks like Blue-Red Phoenix that are thought scaring and faithful suiting a thing in the ice into the graveyard, or you have Hogak that's filling up their graveyard, or you have Dredge that's filling up their graveyard. You have all these decks that are filling up their graveyard in the top tier of the metagame. You cast Living End, they return their thing in the ice, they return their huge sacrifice, everything they carry in for. It's not a good place to be for Living End, so I'm not sure I would even play Living End right now, regardless of the strategy. But if I did, I think this is kind of a decent list. So what's unique about this one is it's kind of optimized for the post-board game. The post-board game, you're going to have Bloodbraid Elf, you're going to have Crashing Footfalls, you're going to side out your Living End. You have 4 Simian Spirit Guides in the main, so that you can go turn 2, 4/4s. You get a quick Blood Moon down. So some things that I don't necessarily love. You have Bloodbraid Elf with a high percentage of flipping over a Fairy Macabre or a Simian Spirit Guide is not too exciting. I don't know if there's a good way around that, because Simian is probably pretty necessary for the post-board plan. I've never been a huge fan of Fairy Macabre and Living End. I get that the utility is pretty nice, but it's rarely a game winner like Leyline of the Void could be. And then you wouldn't flip it to Bloodbraid Elf, which is a nice thing too, so I'd maybe do that instead. I don't like Force of Despair. I think it's weak. Instead of Ravenous Trap. I get that you're cycling and you're going to draw cards from the top of your deck, but I think Leyline is just too much better that it doesn't matter. You should play that one. I don't think Ricochet Trap is really necessary versus Mono Blue. It's nice, but with the transformational sideboard and the stuff that you're doing, you're probably going to be able to drown them out anyways. Comment on transformational sideboard in general. I'm a fan of doing that in Living End. I like playing Scapeshift in my Living End deck because you get to 7, you play some some land cyclers, you play a couple Valakutes, you get to the long game, boom, Scapeshift back. I've toyed around with versions that played Tarmogoyf in that sort of slot, set out Living End for Tarmogoyf. I think Crashing Footfalls is pretty decent. If you have Simian, turn 2, 4/4s, turn 3, 4/4s. They mulliganed for their Leyline, they mulliganed for the Rest in Peace. Puts you in a decent position. So I think if I was to play Living End right now, I probably actually would play Crashing Footfalls in the sideboard to switch it up. However, I still think I wouldn't play Living End right now because Graveyard Hate is an all-time high and Graveyard decks are at an all-time high. I would rather just dodge that altogether and probably not be on Living End right now. But I think the list is sweet. Thanks to y'all who were messaging me about it. I watched the video and it did make me laugh. So shout out to Magic Aids for aiding us with this sweet list. So those of you who want to know how to build better decks, deck lists, metagaming, switching plans, better mana base, all that jazz, then if you haven't got the ebook, Deck Mastery, it's $15. There's a link to it down below. and it will step up your deck building #1 resource 20-step guide. So you should check that out in the description. So thank you, much love, and let me know what you think, and keep sending interesting stuff my way. Thank you, appreciate you, and talk to you soon.